Jalon Daniels returns to the gridiron, and the Hawks beat up the Fighting Illini of Illinois 34-23 in a very exciting Friday Night Lights edition of Kansas football. And JB and I are here to recap this game for you guys real quick. JB, this was an exciting game. First off, getting Jalon Daniels back is probably the most anticipating, most exciting aspect of this game. But the Hawks show up. JD's out there from the start. They show up big, jump out to a huge lead early. All signs are pointing up. It's been a fantastic game. Of course, Illinois comes in a little bit later there to kind of keep it close. But a pretty much all-around dominant performance. I've got plenty of takeaways myself, but you were there at the game and had a pretty fun experience. Why don't you just kind of share with us how the night went?
And I just have to say, best night of my life. That game was just incredible. We got to insert the meme, like the vibes were immaculate or whatever from Remy.
How are the vibes here today?
The vibes are immaculate. You know what I'm saying? We having a good time at the Final Four. Vibes are immaculate.
Hey, thank you, Remy.
It was quite the experience. We came in ready to play. I was pleasantly surprised with how many people were wearing black. We all knew it wouldn't be a total blackout, but I think the fan base stepped up. I think the students stepped up for sure. The student section was wearing all black. It was amazing. And you know what? The guys played with the energy that you would think some new awesome uniforms come with. They came out firing on all cylinders. Last episode, I was sitting here saying, look, if we go down by 2 scores and Jason Bean is our quarterback, we're not going to win this game. And we go up by 2 scores, and I'm like, all right, this is, and of course, Jalon Daniels is playing, and I'm like, This is going to be a show. And then we go up 3 scores. It's 21-0. And I just can't describe how perfect that night felt. Of course, Illinois made a late run, but by then it was just already over. I think we all knew it was already over.
Yeah, this was a game that the Hawks pretty much dominated start to finish. Coming into this game, a lot of talk was on Illinois' defense being a strong defensive line. And I think for the most part, our offensive line held up pretty well.
We ran right over them.
Yeah, I mean, their guys got back there a couple times and made things interesting. But that was one of the key takeaways we had after key takeaways. One of the keys to a Jayhawk victory in our episode preview was we got to control the trenches. And that happened on both sides of the ball. Offensive line was fantastic, kept JD upright. And of course, he was running all over and looked like his old self. But then our defensive line, I think we had 7 sacks, if I'm not mistaken. I was pulling it back up because I don't want to be wrong. But Jeremy Robinson, Austin Booker both get 2 sacks, 6 sacks. We had 6 sacks total. Pretty much limited that. Obviously, Altmaier had that one big breakaway touchdown. But for the most part, I mean, both sides of the ball were impressive. Defense got a couple turnovers, a couple picks that we wrestled out. The offense, I mean, Devin Neal and Daniel Highshaw were getting tons of space. And again, nothing against, what the Jason Bean offense looks like. But with Jalon, you're just much more worried about him slinging it down the field. That the spacing was just better, and there were so many gaps. I mean, I think Devin had 4 or 5 runs that were just gigantic chunk plays. And the same with Highshaw. That this was just an impressive all-around victory. KU goes up big early, 28-7 in the first half. Pretty much wasn't really anything to think about for a while. There's even that play we get down into the red zone and Lawrence Arnold fumbles the ball, and usually you're like, oh my gosh, here we go. But the game was out of control by then already that you're like, it's just a fumble. I'm not worried about it. But third quarter was slow. KU basically did nothing in the second half offensively, but they also didn't really have to. It was just kind of eating up the clock in chunk plays because we only scored 6 points in the second half on 2 field goals, whereas Illinois gets 2 touchdowns and 2 2-point conversions to keep it interesting. But yeah, impressive victory. Jalon went 21 of 29 for 277 and 2 touchdowns. He did have that interception.
Didn't matter.
But it didn't matter. He spread the ball around to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different receivers. Finally got, the ball in Jared Casey's hands, and of course he scores his touchdown. Torrey Loughlin starts the game off with a touchdown, but Arnold and Grimm were pretty solid. I know they didn't get a ton of catches between the two of them, but they found space down the field and got open. So that was great to see. And then of course the running backs, you got three different runners with 10 plus carries, including Jalon. Devin Neal went 10 for a $120 with a touchdown. Highshaw went 12 for 98. So you almost had 200-yard rushers. Both guys averaged north of 8 yards a carry. Devin Neal's long was that 43-yard run down the field, and Highshaw had a 28-yarder. But again, overall dominant performance. Any takeaways you want to throw in there from the game yourself? Because if not, I mean, after that, then I want to talk about the defense for a minute.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think Daniel Highshaw woke up. I think Daniel was, he was the Daniel Highshaw as of last year before, pre-injury, of course. He really, I think, locked in the fourth quarter and made sure that we weren't going to give the ball back in certain times, when nothing else was really going for us, when it was starting to get a little dicey in the fourth quarter, Illinois scoring and we're not. Daniel Highshaw kept some drives alive, and I was there on the sideline. It took the breath out of everybody when Illinois would score, and then Daniel Highshaw would revitalize the entire crowd, and we were all going nuts. So it was there. It was there for the taking, and he took it. He stepped up, and it was great.
Yeah, it was. He's got those big old thick thighs, those just muscular thighs, and he just keeps his legs churning and moving forward. So that was impressive to see. Good all around game there. Yeah, offense, really nothing to be disappointed about. Jalon looked like his old self. He had a
Yes.
couple of plays where he was able to break out and get away from the sack and then turn into a monster play. And I'm sure we're going to see that continue to develop as he gets back his rhythm. But the defense, real quick, I want to kind of finish up with the defense here. That defensive line, man, they were impressive. Jeremy Robinson gets a sack to start the game early, then gets another sack later. I mean, we hit the quarterback a dozen times, 6 of them go for sacks. Jeremy Robinson, Austin Booker, Austin Booker was the transfer coming in that we had big hopes for on the defensive line to fill a need. He gets 2 sacks, unfortunately gets the stupid ejection for the targeting call that I think most all of us disagree with. But defensive line was great. I think for the most part, they contained the run game. They contained the quarterback. Obviously he had that one big run, but outside of that, I mean, if you take that one chunk play away, the offense only had 70 yards rushing. So I was very impressed with the defense. And when you're getting pressure on the quarterback like that, it allows your safeties and your corners to, stay longer so they don't have to get beat down the field. And I think just all around, the safeties and the corners were locked in. There were so many plays where you saw Altmaier trying to find something working downfield, and there was nothing there because we had lockdown defense. And that was really impressive to see. I know Illinois is not like a tremendously tough offense or anything, but if we can see this consistency with the defense and continue to build on it, that gives us a lot of hope moving into Big 12 play and some of these bigger matchups we're going to see. But I was impressed. Hawks moved to 2-0, of course. Now we are a third of the way there to bowl eligibility with a game at Nevada coming up next week, which will be their first true road test. If the Hawks come out on top there, then we're already looking at halfway to a bowl victory or to a bowl appearance to start the season, which is great because then that leads us into Big 12 play, which is always going to be a daunting schedule, but a lot of new faces on it this year. But yeah, that defense was impressive. Kobe, lockdown defender. Quentin Lassiter finds a way to get a pick again, which is exciting. I think they were talking about a pregame. This was an anniversary game for him from something his dad did years and years and years ago with a pick. So for him to do that is really exciting. That's now back-to-back weeks with a pick for him. Dotson, ripped that ball out and caught that one to get another pick. So I was just impressed all around. Didn't have to talk about the linebackers much from this game, which is probably a good thing. That means that the run game didn't get out of hand because you really didn't see much on the broadcast or talk about, Rich Miller and Craig Young, that linebacker crew. But that's because the defensive line was getting pressure and the back end of the defense was holding down. So again, all around impressive effort from the Hawks in this game to move to 2-0. JB, you got any final thoughts on this?
You know what? I'm just so happy that Jalon Daniels is back. I'm happy I was wrong when I said I'm at about a 20% chance that he starts the game. He really did look like his old self. I mean, it was incredible. The one play that I thought was the coolest, and I'd have to look up exactly when it was. I think it was late in the second quarter, but it was third and long or fourth and long. Desperation play, probably third and long, actually, now that I think about it. We were backed up by our goal line.
Yep.
And the pressure came. He scrambled in a way that I've never seen a quarterback scramble in my life. And he at the very last second, he chucks that ball halfway down the field, and somehow it's caught. And when I tell you the crowd popped, that crowd popped.
Pressure from Newton. Daniels trying to escape. Throws on the run. Downfield. Arnold with a first down across the 35.
I was going nuts. It just speaks to the vibes of the program. We are legitimate, and I don't think Illinois was ready for Jalon Daniels. They can look at all the tape they want. They weren't ready for that man. He is him. That's all I gotta say.
I 100% agree. The running lanes were open. The passing lanes were open. He had that incredible throw down to Luke Grimm way down the field.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh, from right there to right over there with only 20 seconds to go.
Shoot, man, Luke Grimm, you better throw on a Chiefs jersey. They could use you for sure with your sure-handedness. But yeah,
True.
Impressive effort. Super excited the way things are going to start the season. Getting Jalon back is huge, and that's going to just propel us forward. So that's going to do it for this episode. Just want to do a quick recap of the game. Again, for those of you, if you've been paying attention, I'm going to be on vacation the next couple of weeks, so we're not sure what's going to come out for episodes, but JB might have a couple things up his sleeve this week with some other short clips and things like that. So stay tuned for that. Thank you guys for supporting us so far. KU fans, you guys are doing wonders for our viewership. We had a reel go up yesterday before the game, and it's now surpassed 2,000 views, giving us the most views on any content we've ever put out. So that's super exciting. Thank you guys so much for that. Continue to support us. Yes, follow us on Instagram, because I'm pretty positive there's going to be a nice little clip coming out of an instance after the game that I don't want to share too much about, that JB was able to catch on film. So be sure to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok at KCSA Pod. If you're listening to us on Spotify, subscribe to the podcast, give us a rating. If you're watching us over here on YouTube, again, thank you so much. Be sure to subscribe. We're on the way to doing some tremendous things, and the more support we get from you guys, the better this is going to be. So guys, until next time, obviously next episode that you guys will see come out, we'll still have the aftermath, putting out some Chiefs content, so stay tuned for that. But until next time, guys, thank you, and rock chalk.
Rock chalk.